Week 15 starts with a bunch of field goals, and the Rams go into San Francisco and end the 49ers season with a 12-6 win. Thanks for finding us, First in Pod. All of the leading podcast platforms carry our show, and make sure you not only listen, but download it, and make sure you rate and review it too. 5-star ratings, leave a review, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast. I'm Andrew Fillipponi. He's Patrick Peterson. And Pat said it months ago that the Rams were going to come out of this and win the division. Now, Seattle has something to say about that, but the 49ers will not, Pat, because their playoff odds now are 0.1% with this loss. They don't score a touchdown. The Rams don't score a touchdown. And yet LA found a way to win this game, in part because San Francisco found a way late to lose this game. Down 3, Niners driving. Brock Purdy looked for Jennings in the end zone. Horrible overthrow, interception. And then the Rams were able to bleed the clock out after that, Pat. So good luck paying that guy $50 million a year, huh?
No doubt about it. And what did I say weeks ago as well about Brock Purdy? What pass he cannot complete on a consistent basis?
Now, there's a technical term for it. And so let people know what it's called again.
The 9 ball, the go route, whatever you want to call it, straight. Yeah, the receiver running straight down the sideline, and to complete the pass, it's hard for him to do. He had Greg Jennings in the third quarter, and he missed him. And Jennings ran a stop and go, and still couldn't. I don't know who the hell he was throwing the ball.
Jawan Jennings. I think you said Grant there, who used to play, but yeah, we got you. Jawan Jennings.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jawan Jennings. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jawan Jennings on the on the stutter go and threw a bad pass, which ultimately cost him the ball game. And give the Rams defensive line credit; they made it tough on Brock Purdy for the entire game. For the most part. And I don't know what Sean McVay's record is against Kyle Shanahan, but I know it's pretty successful because he knows something that other teams don't have a good beat on against the 49ers, because it seemed like the 49ers just cannot beat the Los Angeles Rams. And they came in there and played physical football, ran the ball very well. The drive of the game was the last drive, which kicked the fourth field goal to put 12 points on the game. But how aggressively Sean McVay called that last drive by calling multiple play actions, back to back, hitting the tight end on a seam route to get him on at the 18-yard line. Williams, getting those hard nosed, gritty, yards on the ground, so. It was a well-coached game due to the elements and versus a divisional opponent. But watch out for the Rams, man, winning the last 7 of their 9 games. I still think they're going to win the division, although they're still only 1 game out of the lead right now.
Yeah, they're getting healthy, and they started 1-4, and their defense is very young. They've lost Aaron Donald. I thought that was going to be a major issue for them. They've got a Shula, not Don, who I think rest in peace, the winningest coach, and he's not going to lose his record now that Bill's Tar Heel. But it's a Shula, so he knows football, and he's done wonders with that defense. Verse and the other kid, Fisk, from they're both Florida State kids, and they're right there in the Defensive Player of the Year award sweepstakes, both of those guys. And this was a defensive masterpiece for them. Now they have Mother Nature to thank, because in the first half the rain was coming down, and the entire broadcast they were making excuses for both offenses because of how bad the weather was there. I said similar things after the Niners lost the Buffalo game, Pat, so I don't want to repeat myself, but it is an embarrassing season for them. They came into this year with the Lions tied for the best odds to win the whole thing at one point in the offseason, better than Kansas City even. They were the outright favorites to win the Super Bowl, and there are still 3 weeks to go in the NFL season, and they're pretty much eliminated. And I get it. The Christian McCaffrey thing happened. That was a major setback for them. But we've seen Kyle Shanahan teams survive before he got there with guys like Mostert and backup running backs. His dad's offense was the same way in Denver. They didn't always have Terrell Davis. So I don't think it has to be running back dependent. The Ayuk injury, major blow because Deebo Samuel has had a dreadful season. I think he's done. He demanded the ball in this game. He bitched about not getting the ball enough. He went on social media. He lashed out, and then he dropped the touchdown pass.
Dropped the wide open.
It was right in his. It was right in the numbers. Wide open. I mean, that might have won them the game if he catches that. Kittle tried to make plays. He had a big drop down the sideline though too. And I'm not going to criticize the defense in a game where they only give up 12 points. But, dude, you got to get off the field. It was a 10-minute drive for the Rams. The Rams had the ball for 10 minutes and 19 plays in the second half. So this is the death knell, the final blow for the 49ers. And I'm not convinced they're going to come back next year and be a contender again, Pat.
It's gonna be tough for him, man, because there's gonna be a lot of changes, in my opinion, on that football team, especially on the defensive side. I think the offense will probably stay intact for the most part, but on the defensive side, I think there's going to be a lot of changes.
Well, I don't think Debo's back. I think he's gone. With the Peterson draft pick and what they paid Kings and what they paid Ayuk, I think he's done. Yeah, I think
plus he's not like really. Yeah, he's a joker. Like he's not really a real receiver threat, in my opinion. He's one of those guys that you can get him the ball very quickly. Let him run after the catch. Get him on some nice over routes to where he's running away from coverages and things like that. But he's not a guy that you're just going to say, oh, he's going to kill me as a receiver.
This is why you bet the NFL, but you don't go crazy because these teams scored 44 or 38 points last week, and now they scored 18 combined in this game. So everybody probably said bet the over, bet all these player props, and nobody did anything. Cooper Kupp did not have a catch in this game. Not a catch. If I told you he was going to play all 60 minutes and have 0 catches, you probably would have said, oh, the Rams are going to lose the game. And it was mostly Kyren Williams, who had over 100 yards, and Nakua, who had a big night too. So, your Rams prediction. And one more thing we got to tell people about here before we move on to the rest of the games, and it's a great slate of games. You really have the same gene that Tony Romo has. So when Romo started broadcasting, tell people what was going to happen before it happened.
Right.
And you called me and said, Kyle Shanahan does something on the sideline, and when he does it, you can all but guarantee what the next play is going to be.
Yep. That was just, one of my instincts that I had as a player, man, because I wasn't a guy that was just solely, focused and honed in on, the guy that I was going up against. I like to, be engaged into the environment, watching what the quarterback, how he's communicating with the receiver. And where I got this from, it was Pete Carroll, my rookie year. He actually did this. I was going up against Simeon Rice. I cannot remember his first name, bro. Cindy Rice. Yep, Cindy Rice. Right. And he ran up the sideline, and I saw him run up the sideline. He was like, "Ref, we about to run a double move. Watch 21." And I never forget that. And ever since I remember him, doing that my rookie year, from that moment on, like third downs, or if I feel like a team about to take a shot, just look at the sideline, because somebody on the sideline will give it away. And it's typically the head coach, because he's probably 9 times out of 10 looking for a defensive pass interference. So from that was just a lifelong lesson that would never leave me. And Kyle Shanahan, he used to do it as well when I played against him when I was in Arizona. So that's how I knew that was going to happen. Just going back to my history, seeing and playing against.
You saw him moving, and you go, "Here comes that deep ball."
Yep. And I'll be damned. They tried to take a shot to Kittle, and the camera went right to Kyle Shanahan. I kid you not, he was damn near halfway down the field.
Simeon Rice, by the way, once told me to go F myself in a live radio interview. Now, that's a story for another day, though. That's probably the most contentious athlete interview I've ever done in my life. All right, let's get to tons of good games this week. The game of the year is in Detroit. It's the Bills and Lions. It's two of the top teams to win the Super Bowl. It's the team with the best record in the NFC and the second best record in the AFC. The game's at Ford Field, Pat. Who you got in this one?
I'm going Lions. I'm going Lions just because the Lions have been feeling like they needed to prove a point all year. And this is just going to be another game. I can only imagine. I would love to be in those team meetings right now, hearing Dan Campbell get his guys, geared up, ready for this football game. I'm not expecting nothing less from what we've seen all year from them. I feel like they really relish the moment to play against a top tier team, especially in their house, and it's just giving them more confidence as the season continue, and as they get ready for the playoff run. So I like the Lions. I feel like the Buffalo defense is a little bit too thin in the interior, as we talked about a couple weeks ago. And Josh Allen, he's going to have to be perfect. And when he has to be like damn near perfect on the road against a quality opponent, he's bound to make some mistakes. So I like the Lions in this game just because what they have been showing me in the world all year. And it's just going to be a tough game for Buffalo on the road. I know it's just right across the water. It's not too far. It's not too far of a commute for them, but it's going to be a tough game for them to try to sneak out a win in the Lions' den.
You're flying over those Great Lakes. I'm such a football nerd. I could probably name the last 50 Heisman Trophy winners, but I couldn't name every Great Lake. That's just how my brain is wired here, Pat. So
Yeah.
I told you weeks ago that I thought Buffalo had a big-time weakness against the run, and I thought that it would hurt them in a game against Detroit. And I still feel that way. I think Detroit will run the ball at will on them.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is I think the Bills are going to match them. Thank you, Spence. He knows all of them. Erie, Michigan, Huron, Superior, and Ontario. Thank you for making me feel dumb. Okay, who won the 1989 Heisman Trophy? Next, Spence. 1986. Okay, hit me with Vinny Testaverde or something like that. Give me 77 Earl Campbell. We can do that instead. But look, I think that Buffalo will match them score for score. And it's ironic that you said that you think that Allen is more likely to slip on the banana peel in this game and have the turnover or mistake. Because I actually feel the way this game has gone, the way this season has gone, Goff has actually been more prone to that.
Yeah.
Allen. So Goff has 10 interceptions this year, and Allen only has 5. And my thing with Detroit is with no Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport's on the IR, Anzalone, and who's the other? Barnes, the other inside linebacker. I do think that we saw some of that attrition set into the second half against Green Bay when the Packers scored 31 points and largely did it all in the second half. And I just don't think they're going to pressure Allen enough. It's a one-man show. It's Zadarius Smith. And he had a sack early in that game against Green Bay, and then he really didn't do anything the rest of the game. This is the highest point over-under total in the NFL this year, Pat. They set it in the low 50s. It's already gone up close to 60. It's like 55 and a half right now, yeah. And I still think it's too low. So I'm going to pick a game where both teams score over 30, and I'm going to call for Buffalo to go there and win because Goff has a turnover, and that extra possession is the difference in the game for the Bills.
I think this game has the potential of being the game of the year. Pittsburgh Steelers travel to the Philadelphia Eagles. Drama is back in Philly. Is this a big deal?
It derailed their season last year. They were 10-3 last year, and then it blew up, and it was one of the worst collapses in Philly sports history. So everybody, I think, who covers the NFL and follows it and listens to this podcast and loves the league knows what's happened here. A.J. Brown came out. We talked about it on the podcast Sunday. He said, what can you guys do better? Passing. Then Brandon Graham, who's the elder statesman of that team, went on his radio show and said, these guys aren't friends anymore. And they need to fix that. They need to be men, and they need to talk about it and not take it out on the street and put it out in the media. And then Brandon realized he screwed up and had to backtrack and apologize. Now, he didn't say what he didn't say he was wrong, Pat. He didn't say I lied or that I was taken out of context on my own show. He just
What did he say?
apologized for letting the world know about it. He just said I shouldn't have come out and said those things. So I do think there's something going on between these two guys, but here's why I don't think it's going to derail their season. Now, you don't want friction between your quarterback and number one wide receiver. There is history with this. They did go to the Super Bowl with McNabb and Terrell Owens basically hating each other's guts 20 years ago. I also think they're so much better defensively. They were 26th in the league last year, and they've given up the fewest passing yards, the fewest total yards, and the second fewest points. Fangio has done such a great job there. And they also have Saquon Barkley there too now, Pat.
Yeah.
It's not, no offense to this guy, it's not DeAndre Swift in the backfield. It's the dude who might break Eric Dickerson's record for the most rushing yards in the season. So it's not ideal, and it could blow up and get worse. But I don't think it's going to cause this team to fall apart like it did last year. How about you?
I'm 50-50.
Well, give me the devil's advocate. Give me the counterpoint or the rebuttal to what I just said.
I understand what you're saying about their defense. Yeah, their defense is playing outstanding right now, right? But I just feel like that is gonna, because just the friction between the quarterback and the receiver, that's damn near a big deal. Like you want to have you don't want to have no animosity on the offensive side, because everything comes down to timing. Everything comes down to, everyone really doing their job, because, that's the only way that the offense has an opportunity to be successful. So now I know they still have Saquon Barkley, but now other teams know that, the quarterback and the receiver's not on the same page. He's only what the last game he got, 5 targets. His targets may go up this week.
I think he had 4 catches for 46 yards.
Yeah, 4 catches. Targets may go up. He may have more catches.
And I think he only has 1 touchdown in his last 7 games, something crazy like that for Brown.
Right, but the real underlying thing is by Brandon Graham coming out and saying that these guys really don't like each other. That goes a long way. And I feel like they're too far in the season to try to fix that now. This is going to have to be something that's going to have to be done in the offseason. And if you continue to have animosity towards one another as you go into the locker room each and every day, that's not joyful. So I don't see, it has the possibility of going either way. That's why I'm 50-50. I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm all in to where, yeah, their defense is good enough to where this is not going to hold back the team. Yeah, you know what I mean? But this can also go the way that it went, last year, when, they had some animosity and towards one another, and just the seasons, started to go down the drain towards the back half of the season. So that's why I'm 50-50.
The friends thing is crazy. Like,
because I thought it was boys.
I know guys who didn't necessarily, they weren't friends with each other, but they were able to coexist. Like, I'll give you a great example of this. Ben Roethlisberger and Hines Ward were not very fond of each other. I think Hines actually tried to get back into coaching with the Steelers as a wide receivers coach when Ben was still the quarterback, and Ben was like, no, not happening. And when the guy's won 2 Super Bowls and is your highest paid player, he can veto power, stuff like that.
Right.
But here's the thing, when they played with each other, it didn't, like, they were able to check their egos at the door and coexist. There weren't even sideline flare-ups or blow-ups. Like, it was passive aggressive. They knew they didn't like each other, but they prioritized winning over their personal beef.
Right.
That's not happening here, clearly.
No.
But the thing that's bothersome about it is, I do think that Hurts has generally handled it like a professional. He's not the one.
He always does, though. He always does.
It's A.J. Brown, but the issue for the Eagles is, Pat, he's just so good. Where I think they knew they had this problem last year, but they said, screw it. We don't want to trade him or get rid of him because he's one of the 5 or 10 best wide receivers in the NFL, and we just hope it works itself out. Well, clearly it has not, even though they've won 9 games in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to be able to fix that, man. So this is not a distraction for this football team, just because they're too good, man, for them to be bickering about God knows what, man. We're winning ball games. And for me, like you just said, Hines and Ben, they value winning over their personal beef. And I believe these two young men is going to have to do that in order for them to be successful.
Packers and Seahawks Sunday night. I made a bet on one of these teams to win the Super Bowl this week. Can you guess which one?
You made a bet on one of these teams. You said the Packers.
No.
Packers. What?
Wrong. Yeah.
Seattle?
Yes.
Why you say that?
Do you think I'm on drugs right now? Because I'm actually not. I'm extremely sober. I didn't even have one drink.
I'm just surprised.
Well, would you like me to, first of all, give you the odds on it and tell you that's going to be the first thing that's going to hopefully explain my motivation and my actions here. So Seattle right now to win the Super Bowl is 50-1. 50-1. They've won 4 games in a row. I just think that they're a pretty complete team. Geno Smith is completing 73% of his passes, which is, I mean, incredible during this 4-game winning streak. He's basically as accurate as like a Drew Brees during this stretch.
Right.
He's got great blindside protection. The cross kid is very, very good, so that's not a worry. Jackson Smith-Njigba is 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards. I think that's one of the quietest, big.
Really?
Yes. He's 3rd in the league, and everyone thinks DK Metcalf, who is a stud. But Smith-Njigba's made this big leap this year in year 2. Lockett is now the 3rd guy. So those 3 guys are healthy. Geno's 2nd in passing yards. You just watched Charbonnet go nuts against the Cardinals last week. They're going to get Kenneth Walker back here soon. So I like their offensive weapons. And then I think their defense has got playmakers at every level. Leonard Williams is a really good defensive tackle. Devin Witherspoon's a feisty firecracker player at corner, man. That guy plays with an attitude. He's always sticking his
he does.
trouble. I think that Kobe Bryant, yes, his name is Kobe Bryant. Yep. The safety is kind of a ball hawk player. And that linebacker they traded for with the Titans has made big plays for them. So, yeah, if I'm power ranking teams to win the Super Bowl, I'm not putting them 1 or 2 or even 3. But I just think they've got a nice, complete team. And sometimes weird shit happens in the playoffs, Pat.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I wouldn't have guessed, though, you would have picked Seattle. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Do you think Seattle's good?
Yeah, Seattle is a good football team. And they proved that, in the season, in the time of the season where it matters the most, where you start to separate yourself. And that's what they started to do. I believe that run started with the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken, that comeback win.
That comeback win, yeah.
Exactly. So it just gave them, confidence and motivation to know that, what we're doing week in and week out, it works. Now we just have to go out and execute the game plan and don't beat ourselves. And, that's what they've been doing so far. Did they miss letting him go to UNC?
Okay, we're going to get later in the podcast. We'll get more into the specifics of Belichick going to North Carolina, but let's focus on this Bears part first, because there was an ESPN article today that went through Belichick's decision to go to college. And in that article, Pat, apparently he told confidants and his friends that the job he wanted was the Bears job. If his pick of the litter, if he had his druthers, he wanted to go to the Bears, but he assumed that the Bears didn't want him. They never contacted him because he thinks they want an offensive-minded head coach. And his feeling is that they're just going to wait for Ben Johnson's season to end in Detroit and then hire him and have him work with Caleb Williams for a long time instead of going with Belichick for, 3 years or whatever, a guy that's in his early 70s. I actually agree with Chicago not turning their franchise over to him, because I just don't feel like Caleb Williams and Belichick would work well together at all. I think that would be an oil and water fit. Now, maybe Bill, he's dating a girl that's Caleb's age. Maybe his time in North Carolina will change my opinion of how he relates to younger players. But a dude that paints his nails and comes to work with like a handbag, and also from a playing style standpoint, seems to not want to do many things on schedule, hang on to the ball, ad lib, do it kind of free, improvisationally, and take a ton of sacks. That does not sound like a quarterback that Bill Belichick would want to work with long term. That's why I'm stunned he actually wanted that job over the other ones that were potentially out there.
Yeah. It don't look like many teams were in contact with Coach Bill Belichick for the most part. So
do you think that would have been a good fit?
No. I believe that would have been a horrible fit. Just because, like you said, like Caleb is way too reckless for Bill. And I feel like he like you said, he don't do anything on schedule. At least he haven't shown us anything of much or many passes that he's been able to complete on schedule. Like you said, Caleb coming into practice and into the game with his fingernails polished. I don't have a problem with it because those are his decisions. Yeah, you know what I mean. That's the decision that he made. But I feel like that would drive Coach Belichick up a wall. If
he doesn't look at guys. He doesn't like guys that look like, even have the appearance that they're putting themselves over the team. He hates that.
Exactly. Yeah. He don't like that flashiness. So I definitely think that would have been a match made in hell.
Falcons and Raiders are also going to play Monday night. We got a doubleheader. So Coach Prime. Yep. So Coach Prime, Deion Sanders at an event with Antonio Pierce, said he wants Pierce and the Raiders to draft those Sanders boys, because Shedeur also has a brother who plays safety. People don't really know that. Is Vegas the best destination for Deion's star quarterback son?
Yeah, I believe so. Just because it's, in Vegas, the limelight, I just feel like Shedeur really thrives, off of that. And I feel like he'll be right there, in Vegas and Sin City, where they're gonna have big time games, a lot of celebrities out there. You know what I mean? So I think that'll be a great fit for him off the field.
You think that's good? Like, he actually thrives in those, like high.
Because he has a cheat code. His dad was prime, prime time. You know what I mean? So that's why you don't see when you see Shedeur right now in college. Yeah, you see all the the risks, the cars that he's driving, but he also still performs on the field at a high level. You know what I mean? Exactly. So his dad is just feeding him all the information that he needs, to take to take it, not take his game to the next level, but to be able to handle what comes with the success. And also, if you're going to talk your talk, be able to back it up. And he's been able to do that. So I think, if he's able to get drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders, oh man, the city's going up. I tell you what, you think the Raiders fans don't? Well, the Steelers only took over that stadium. I don't know how the fans show up.
No, they play a lot of road games, man. They play a lot of road games because every.
Okay, but I tell you what, if Shedeur is their quarterback, it'll be a whole lot more Vegas fans in there. I promise you that.
I agree. There's Raiders fans everywhere, and they'll become a it team if he's there. I agree with you. I think the Raiders are the best destination. I think there are 5 teams that are in the running for him: Giants, Raiders, Browns, Jets, and Titans. Those are the 5 teams who I think want to draft a quarterback in the first round. And I like them more than both New York teams, more than the Browns, more than the Titans. And here's why. First of all, I think they've got the best offensive line from those cluster of teams. Miller, the left tackle, is really good. Jackson Powers Johnson, rookie center, has had a really good year. The guards are solid. So he's not going to get killed there. number one. They're going to actually keep him upright. Brock Bowers, we showed him some love on the podcast last week. Better late than never.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a rookie quarterback's best friend. That dude is always open. And available. Okay, so that's number two. And number three is this, Pat. They got $111 million in cap space. If they want to go out, if they want to go out and get T. Higgins in the offseason, they can outbid the Bengals and the Patriots and the other teams that feel like they need a number one wide receiver. And something tells me Higgins would probably like to start a career as the go-to guy with Shedeur Sanders. So, yeah, I think we'll see what happens with Antonio Pierce and their coaching staff. But I think they've got the personnel, and Brady's there too now. So I think they've got the potential to be a very, like Jaden Daniels you talk about in Washington. I could see Sanders going to Vegas and with the right coaching doing that next year.
Yeah. Do you think Antonio Pierce survived?
Yes, I do. I think he gets one more year.
Yeah, I do too. All right, moving on. Chiefs, Browns. Mahomes is complaining about the upcoming schedule. 3 games in the next 11 days, one on Christmas. Is he right?
Yep. But guess what? I'm shocked that now the Chiefs have bitched about things in the past. Remember when they lost that game to Buffalo last year and when Mahomes went out to say good game with Josh Allen, the mics picked him up complaining about how they got jobbed on that illegal formation call. Like they're not immune they're not. Oh, dude, I'm shocked. We'll have to send you that video. Spence might be able to get that to you. I thought it was.
I was still playing, so I was still playing.
You had a one-track mind. You were, as Mike Tomlin likes to say, you were singularly focused on the task at hand. So they're not above complaining. The entire team this week, from Andy Reid down, has used their media availabilities to complain about the situation. Mahomes said it's not a good feeling. You never want to play this amount of games in such a short amount of time. Andy Reid came out and said, yeah, it's an issue, but we'll have to manage it, is what he said. And then Chris Jones probably took it the furthest. He said, we have not had our bye week since week 6. It's unfair of the league to make us play this many games in a row to finish the year in this many games late in the season in such a condensed amount of time. He said, I will go to the NFLPA in the offseason and I will make it my duty to try to ensure that things like this don't happen again. I don't know, man. It seems like it's in their heads a little bit. And so my prediction is I think they're going to lose this game on Sunday because of it. I think they're going to go to Cleveland and get beat. I think they played with fire so many times this year. Now these guys actually, there's something is dividing their attention a little bit because of they feel like they're getting wronged by the NFL. And I think they're going to let their guard down just enough where your boy Famous Jameis has one of his signature games against them and the Chiefs no, you're shaking your head no. Come on. The miracles, Pat. If he can beat the Ravens, he can beat the Steelers, he can beat the Chiefs.
I don't see it, Pony. Now, next week, they may lose.
Houston.
Yeah, I can see them possibly losing that one, but they're not losing against the Browns. Not happening. And you know that.
Do you think it's unfair, though, that they have to play?
I do think it is unfair, especially what Chris Jones said, that they didn't have their bye week since week 6, and now they got to play 3 games in 11 days. I know the league want to see, obviously the Chiefs as much as possible, but they got to do a better job of, we talk about player safety, right? And that's not player safety right there. Like, these guys have to give their bodies enough time to recover to be able to give the fans the best product. And it's going to be tough for the Chiefs to do that. I know that I can guarantee you this, though. They're not going to have many, full blown out practices. These practices from the,
Would you pitch count guys? Would you play Kelsey less? Would you play Jones less? Would you monitor?
No. They're going to play, but we're just not going to have as much of a physical practice as we would if we had a normal week to prepare. So, like in a normal week, starts on a Wednesday. We may have full pads on Wednesday, depending on where you are. But one day out of those weeks, you're going to have full pads on. So now with them having three games in 11 days, we may not have three full padded practices now. Now we only may have one, and they probably did that one this week. Next week they might not have no padded practice. Then the week after that is going to be a Friday game, right? Yeah, Friday game on Christmas, which
Saturday
they
and
play.
then Wednesday. They play a
I'm
Saturday
sorry,
game.
yeah, Saturday then Wednesday. Then they got to play play the Wednesday game. That's the Christmas game, though, right?
Yeah, against the Steelers. Yep.
Yeah. So then they got to play the Steelers. So I know for sure they're probably not going to wear pads going into that Wednesday game. You know what I mean? So it's just going to, like Coach said, they're going to have to do a good job of managing, things like that to where they can have guys as fresh as possible leading into the game.
Cowboys and Panthers. Dallas is actually an underdog in this game. The Bengals' loss ended any hopes of the Cowboys' playoff dreams. How do they rebound and get back to the playoffs next year, Pat?
The Cowboys?
Yep.
Get some more pass catchers. You got to have someone to really relieve some of the stress off of CeeDee Lamb. Better offensive line play. You need a running back. Defense has to be more stout.
I was going to say, I'm shocked you went to the offensive side first, to be honest with you. I thought for sure you were going to say massive defensive improvements need to get
made. No, I'm not done yet. Linebacker. I mean, they need a lot, man. I'm not even going to lie. Just watching them throughout the year, they need a whole lot, man, in order for them to be, to get back into the playoff run. Because think about it. Every position, they're pretty much at the bottom hole, across the league. Like they don't have any running backs that have over 800 yards. They only have CeeDee Lamb. Dak is hurt, so now you relying on Cooper. Cooper rushed to throw the ball. He only had one real amazing game. You don't have another pass catcher. The tight end, 89, I can't remember his name right now.
Shoemaker?
Yep. He's not playing well right now. Then, like you said, the defense can't stop the run when Micah is not in the lineup. They can't get to the quarterback. My boy Diggs, he's just getting back healthy. He don't seem like himself just yet. So they need another corner, a slot guy, safeties. So they need a whole makeover in order for them to get back into the playoffs because they took a major step back going into the season on not improving in any position at all throughout free agency.
So the offensive thing, I think, can be easily explained with two reasons for why they struggled, and you hit on it. They had, a running back devaluation where they just kind of said these, old timer and Zeke and career backup and Dowdle will get the job done, and that was a miscalculation. And Dak got hurt, so I think you can, Dak comes back. He's the highest paid player in the league. You don't have to pay a lot of money for a running back necessarily, but get someone who's either younger and fresher. And, right. Then, you can, I think, expect to have an average offense, if not better. The defensive thing is odd to me because it's pretty much the same exact defense last year that was one of the best ones in the league. The personnel is virtually the same. The only difference is DeMarcus Lawrence got hurt, and he's a good player, but, I mean, I wouldn't say he's an elite player anymore. Good, not great. He shouldn't be a guy that completely causes your whole defense like a house of cards to fall down. And then they didn't have Diggs last year, but they had Gilmore. So you basically swap those guys out. Everything else is the same. And they were awful this year, Pat. So what changed?
Yeah.
Their coordinator was different. Quinn's in Washington. They brought Mike Zimmer in. I think Mike Zimmer is a good defensive coach. Sometimes guys are just not a fit with the team. Vic Fangio was not a fit in Miami. Now he's doing great things with the Eagles. So I don't care what they do with I do care what they do with Mike McCarthy. But if they bring Mike McCarthy back, I think they got to bring in a new defensive coordinator next year. New voice. because whatever they were doing with him this year, clearly with the same players, they're 31st in the league in points allowed. Only one team has given up more points. When that happens, you get fired. I don't care what. There's no excuse to be that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Coach Zim, man. So it sucks to see that. Huh?
He'll land on his feet.
Yeah.
He'll do okay.
It just sucks to see the guys not, playing what they're not getting, what they expected out of themselves throughout the season. All right, we got the Bucks and the Charger. Which team has a better chance of making some playoff noise?
I'm going with the Chargers. I'm going with Jim Harbaugh, the guy that when he was in his first year with San Francisco, he got them all the way to the NFC Championship game. And the defense that hasn't looked as good lately, but we've seen them win games for them this year. And then you flip it and you look at the Buccaneers, and their defense stinks. They're 30th in pass defense. They let Carlton Davis go to Detroit. They never replaced him. Shaq Barrett retired. And Antoine Winfield Jr. last year, I thought had, for a safety, he had 6 forced fumbles, 6 sacks. I mean, he just did everything. He had a bunch of interceptions. He was a first-team All-Pro. He's got 0 interceptions this year. He's got no forced fumbles. That's not to say he's having a bad year, but those splash plays that change games. Yeah, he's been hurt. Those splash plays to change games have just not been in his bag this year. So I think Tampa only has one way to beat you. I think they got to outscore you. I think the Chargers can win with defense, and I think they can win with offense if Herbert gets hot in the game. So I'm saying the Chargers, Pat.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers too, just because the recipe that Jim Harbaugh have cooked up for Justin Herbert has just been phenomenal. They can run the ball at will. Now they can throw the ball, across all over the yard, as they have been showing us that over the last 2 weeks. And like you said, their defense is just outstanding. They don't give up many points. They create havoc, each and every time your quarterback have an opportunity to just drop back for a pass. So I really like the nucleus that Jim Harbaugh has really built over there and created with the Los Angeles Chargers, because it's a clear resemblance of when he got to San Francisco in what it was 2010, 11. Okay, 11. Yeah. Oh, so he was a rookie with me. We got in the league the same year. I did not know that, but yeah, it looks the same as it did when he got his first head coaching job in the NFL. Yeah, so I like the Chargers too.
Texans and Dolphins in Houston. The Texans can clinch a playoff spot if they win and the Colts lose. Can they become a Super Bowl contender again this season?
Maybe if they make it to the second round, but not right now.
You're not buying them right now.
Yeah, I'm not buying them right now, just because we haven't really seen anything from them all year. Not to say they can't turn it on in these last 4 or 5 games that they have left, but we just haven't seen anything from the Houston Texans offense or the defense as well. I mean, the defense has been playing better, and they, in my opinion, they play better than the offense. But
so that's what I was going to bring up. I was going to bring up their defense. I was going to say something about their defense here, because they've only played one, because their division stinks.
Right.
They've only played one AFC playoff team all year, and that was Buffalo, and they beat them. And they held the Bills to only 20 points in that game, and Buffalo scores 30 points on everybody. So that was a really good defensive game. And then they turned Jared Goff over 5 times, and their offense lost the game because Stroud was turning the ball over. Right. And their kicker missed kicks. So they shut I just said earlier, this is the highest total all season, Lions and Bills. They actually did a good job against both of those offenses. Yeah. And their next 2 games after this one are at the Chiefs and the Ravens. If they win one or both of those games, they're looked at as a contender again, no doubt.
Yeah, so they win those games. I mean, I'm not buying them right now.
I agree with you right now. They went 0-3 against the NFC North contenders, Vikings, Packers, and Lions. They lost to all 3. They're 4-4 against teams that aren't in their lousy division. But who knows with Stroud? He's got Nico Collins back. And I do think their defense might prove to be better than people have looked at them this year. So right now I say no, but the schedule allows for them to, I think, change people's minds before we get to the playoffs, Pat.
Yeah. If they can go off and win against the Chiefs and the Ravens, yeah, that definitely put them back in Super Bowl talks for sure. But yeah, they have to do a good job because Chiefs get to the quarterback very well, and the Ravens don't really get to the quarterback very well, but they play hard. So, and we all know Houston struggles with trying to protect CJ Stroud.
Oh yeah.
So and if the quarterback don't have a clean pocket and he's running for his life for the majority of the game, it's going to be hard to put points on the board, man. Not to say they can't, but it's just going to be so much more stressful on him. And we've seen when he's not able to play with a clean pocket, he don't look like the same CJ Stroud.
Yes, I've waffled on this one. I'm going to say right now they should not be. I think that it's just going to be a huge cap hit to get out of Derek Carr's situation. And I think he's just good enough where you have to just try to build the team around him rather than hit the eject button on it. You're shaking your head. You got to go. You're moving on?
Got to.
Really?
Man. I've seen enough in the last 2 years, man. I've seen enough. You're not healthy.
Well,
when you gave me good a good stretch of 2 games this season, and that was in the beginning. You turn the ball over too much. Like it's time to go.
Well, he has a winning record. Well, I'm saying that's why I said barely for me. He has a winning record as the Saints quarterback. They're 5-5 when he plays this year. They're 0-3 when he doesn't. He's got 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. They average 24.5 points when he plays. I think you can win with that.
You can.
I don't know. My issue is I think they're going to win too many games to draft a guy. And so what do? You take the big cap hit and you try to bring in Russell Wilson or Sam Darnold or Justin Fields?
I like the Justin Fields.
Okay.
But what would the hit be though? Because you have to. Yeah.
I think it's like a $30 million cap hit. Our guy Spence can look that up this year.
Yeah, they got to keep him. Yeah, Saints got to keep him.
Ravens and Giants. Baltimore's the biggest favorite in the NFL this season. They're a 16.5-point favorite. Tommy DeVito is going to start for the horrible Giants. Do you trust the Ravens to win multiple playoff games this year?
Yes.
You do?
Multiple playoff games. Yeah, I do. They can win multiple playoff games. I mean, because they're going to be in the wild card, so they're going to play week 1.
Yep.
And they'll probably be the 5th seed.
Yep. That would mean at Houston, probably.
Yeah, so they can win that game.
And then probably right to Kansas City.
And the next round will be at Kansas City, possibly. Yeah. They could possibly win that game too.
I'm saying no, and I have a burning hatred towards the Ravens, which usually bleeds into my opinions on them. But I end up somehow emotionally getting things right. They've lost 2 of 3. Okay, and the Steelers and Eagles have both held them under 20 points. So there's now at least somewhat of a pattern of being able to neutralize and prevent them from just having these explosive offensive performances. Here's what I think the bottom line is for them offensively, Pat. They don't always give Derrick Henry the ball enough. When he gets the ball over 20 times, they're 5-0. They're 3-5 when he's under that. In the Philly game, he got the ball 19 times. In the Steelers game, he got the ball 13 times. That's the problem. They don't go to Henry enough. He gets better with more touches. He wears the defense down. But I feel like it's hard for them Yeah, it's a $50 million cap hit with Carr. He ain't going anywhere, brother. I feel like the problem with Henry is like it takes the ball out of Lamar's hands. And
Yeah.
Lamar's their guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the double-edged sword of this, but the numbers back up. The more he gets the ball, the more they win, Pat, and they forget about it and abandon him in games.
Yeah. We've seen that. Yeah, we've seen that a number of times, and that's the reason why they've lost those games. Because, like you said, the proof is in the pudding. When he gets the ball, he not only gets better throughout the course of the game, but he's wearing on the defense as well. But they're leaning on the clock. You give me a defense an opportunity to catch a breather, and when the defense is on the field a lot, majority of the game, that's when they're not. That's when you have those mental breakdowns or those miscues in the back end, so they have to be able to lean on Derrick Henry, especially this time of the year where, that winter football is real, and Derrick Henry is one of those guys. If you got him, why not use him?
Yeah. Colts, Broncos, Bengals, Titans. Anything on these games, Pat?
Colts, Broncos. Ooh, that's gonna be a good game. They go out to Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Colts, Broncos. That's gonna be a good game. Battle of the young quarterbacks. But I got my money on the Broncos. I just like what Sean Payton and Bo Nix has been doing. The defense has been playing lights out. And I think they're going to really, really make it hard on Anthony Richardson and try to force him to beat them passing the ball.
Correct.
So I think the Broncos win that game by 6. Who else we got?
Cincy,
Tennessee. Oh my goodness. Cincinnati might break the scoreboard. Cincinnati might beat this team by 21 points.
Did you know
although Cincinnati defense is atrocious, I still feel like Joe Burrow and Lamar Jamar Chase they got something on their mind right now, man. Then you got T. Higgins playing the way he's playing ever since he got back into the lineup. So I see I'm not gonna say 21 points. I say Cincinnati by 10.
Little known fact, Tennessee actually is the number 1 ranked pass defense in the NFL, even though they are one of the worst teams. I guess it's because teams run on them because they're winning by so much. It has to be, because it just doesn't make sense that a team that bad would have given up the fewest passing yards in the league. If Burrow throws for over 300 and throws 3 touchdowns, he will tie Steve Young's record for the most consecutive games doing that. He's got 4 right now. He'd get to 5, which would put him right there with Steve Young.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy you say that, because I saw that as well about that. And Cincinnati, like you said, with Joe Burrow, you saying not Cincinnati, Tennessee having the number 1 passing defense. Yeah, you're right. I don't know how the hell that's right, but Joe Burrow is also the best quarterback by throwing the ball off schedule, moving the pocket. And I think that's where it's going to really hurt the Tennessee Titans, when he's able to, step up in the pocket, get off to the left or the right, and find Jamar Chase running on those over routes. And God knows, we all know what he can do once the ball is in his hands. He's the best receiver, yak receiver in the game today.
All right, so last one here is combo of the Patriots, Cardinals, and the Jets and Jags, because let's make this Bill Belichick related. Obviously, he coached in New England. That's how they get thrown in here. And then Jets, Jags, because the Jets have a coaching vacancy, even though Belichick would have never gone there because of his animosity towards the Jets organization. Mm-hmm. And then Jacksonville, because I think Jacksonville's probably going to fire Doug Peterson. So let's start with this question. Can you believe, Pat, that he took the North Carolina job?
I cannot believe that coach Bill Belichick took that job. I just off the fact on the landscape of college football, the NIL, the recruiting process, pretty much begging kids to come play for you. Like, I just don't see how that's going to sit well with him unless he hire a hell of a team to go out and do all of this for him. Because I don't see Bill Belichick rolling up in anyone's front room and their mom bringing them some banana pudding or some food or something, and Coach Bill Belichick is telling them about how he can develop them as a player, and that's it. But then when the money starts to be talked about, it's like I don't know the last time I had one of the highest paid players on my football team. So why the hell are you not even there yet? Why I should be, negotiating, these type of numbers, with the 18, 19, 20-year-old. You know what I mean? So, but I could be wrong. But I just don't see
Did
it.
you legit
working.
have coaches in your living room, by the way? Did you actually have head coaches come and sit
Oh, yeah.
in your living room?
I mean, I don't know how it is now, but yeah. I mean, Bobby Bowden, Les Miles, Bobby Bowden, rest your soul. Les Miles, Pete Carroll, Urban Meyer.
Saban show up?
Nick, he never came. He came to my high school though. Nick never came to my house. Coach Saban never came to my house.
Did they bring food? Like, did you say like, "Hey, pick up Raising Cane's on the way over"? Or did you guys have to like?
Man, it was just always because, like I said, when I was coming up, that's when you used to have the in-home visits. So, like, what my mom used to do is like we used to have like dinner for them. So, like when they came over, because my mom used to love cooking, so we'll be at the table and we'll be talking about what the plan is. So that's how it was when I was coming up. I don't know how they do it now, but they probably going to steakhouses and on the rooftop of restaurants and shit now. But that's how it was when I was coming out. So that's why I said I can't see, Coach Bill Belichick doing that now. But they might not even be doing that. So that's just me going off my college experience.
I think that NFL. So I here's why I can believe it. I think NFL owners are largely very narcissistic people who have gotten to this point in life because they're unbelievably successful at whatever business they had before maybe they even became in charge of an NFL franchise. And obviously the most glaring example of this is Jerry Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think these men like to just give all the power and control over to one person. And Belichick had that situation in New England because he was successful. And they're really, in order to keep him, you had to do those things. That was the deal for Robert Kraft. And I think the second it went south, Kraft was ready to pull the plug on it. And I don't think Robert Kraft has helped Bill Belichick in his post-Patriots life. They acted like it was an amicable split. I don't think Kraft has said kind things or nice things or given good recommendations about what it's like working with Bill to the other 31 owners. Now, they don't have to listen to the guy, but I think the horror stories that he's told have probably in part scared these owners off. Right. So I think he was left no choice if he wanted to coach again than to go do it in college. But to the second part of this question, should Jacksonville have hired him? My answer to that is yes. If they could have had him for the same exact price as North Carolina, which is 3 years, $30 million, I would have 100% have done that if I were them. And 100%. It would have been a risk because he hasn't always drafted well or done the best in free agency. But as he pointed out,
got a quarterback.
Right. As he pointed out in his press conference today, he did draft Tom Brady in the 6th round. He did develop Rob Gronkowski after he had horrible back injuries in college and picked him in the 2nd round, turned him into maybe the greatest tight end of all time. He made Julian Edelman into a wide receiver when he was a quarterback in college. It's not like the guy just had like everything handed to him. So it was a flex by him to bring. Yeah, it was a flex by him to bring those things up, but he wasn't lying. And I go back and forth on Trevor Lawrence. I've been, for the most part, disappointed in him as an NFL quarterback, but I do think that there's material there that Belichick could work with, Pat. And I could see Belichick having the same effect on Lawrence that Harbaugh has had on Herbert, where they take stuff off his plate, they make life easier for him, they develop more of a complete team around him so that Trevor Lawrence doesn't feel like he has to win every game on his own. Do you know what I mean?
100%. 100%. He just needs a coach, like you said, that's going to take a lot off his plate to where he don't have to be Superman or put a cape on each and every time he's out there on the football field. Like, let the game plan work for itself. Just don't turn over the football. Convert on third downs, and we got to be at least 75% in the red zone. And our defense, must play well and keep teams out of the end zone as well. But if
And
you're
Bill
able
would
to
have
do
figured
that,
that part out for sure. Bill would have made their
no doubt
defense.
about it. No doubt about it. And they got, they have a solid, roster on the defensive side of the ball as well. So I agree with you. If I had an opportunity to hire Bill, Coach Bill Belichick at that same price that the Tar Heels did, I would have been all over that, man.
What was the go-to that your mom would make when these coaches came over?
Oh man, my mom used to make like mac and cheese, um, fried chicken, um, uh, fried okra rice. What else she used to make, man? Like my mom used to make these little dinner rolls, like with her special butter on top. That was always good. And and she used to cook a banana pudding. So that's why I said banana pudding. That was like her go-to thing. And all the coaches used to always come back like, man, have your mom have that banana pudding for me, man. It was just amazing. So that was like the thing, whenever the coaches came to the house, the banana pudding.
Did any coach make a very bad impression on your parents?
Yeah. Rand and Shannon. Yeah, he
Oh, the Miami
came.
coach.
Yeah, he came. He was supposed to come to the house at a certain time, and he ended up coming like an hour and a half later. And my dad was like, "You ain't coming up in here," and it was a wrap from there.
Did he at least give you a heads up, like, "Yo, things got really messed up. I'm running late." Did he at
Man,
least?
I didn't even have did I have a phone then? Yeah, I did have a phone, but yeah, I don't think he even like text me or anything like that.
Oh, that's
But
a horrible job.
yeah, yeah, and that goes to show why the Canes were the Canes when he was the coach.
And Les showed up, and he had that goofy hat on, and he
He was a
just,
hell of a defensive coordinator, though.
oh yeah,
He can call some defensive plays, but he wasn't
the Mad Hatter.
suited. Well, yeah, he wasn't suited for the head coaching job.
Well, now I still think he's getting checks from Kansas like 5 years later, so he's doing
Wow,
all
yeah,
right.
he Gucci. He Gucci.
Hey, Pat, thanks again. We'll talk again after Packers and Seahawks. Huge NFL Sunday with Lions, Bills, and Steelers, Eagles. But we won't break down just the big games. We'll do the whole NFL slate. Subscribe, rate, review. This is First and Pod.